Hi everyone. In today's episode, we are going to go back a little bit. Previously I was talking about getting some new machinery, and we're going to cover a lot of that stuff here. I've taken some photos and hopefully I can put together a quick video, kind of show you how that's progressing. But the new machinery was delayed about 2 days, and it occurred to me that I never really defined what I was expecting to do with this channel. I certainly don't want to make videos for absolutely no reason, for no audience or whatever. I want to make something that's interesting. I want to make something that you don't see a whole lot of out on YouTube. Now, there's plenty of how to do this, and tutorials, unboxings, reviews of products, all of that kind of stuff. But really what I want to focus on with Factory400 is the challenges and the issues and the excitement of running a small business, especially a 1 or 2 person shop like this one. And what it's all about. You hear a lot of people saying, you put together a website, you start selling stuff, you have a business, it's great, you retire, you have multiple cars, you have a lake house, all these kinds of things. And for some people, that might be the outward result. But the inner workings of a small business they're wild and crazy. No matter what business you're in, how successful you are at it, it's wild and crazy. It's up and down. It's all over the place. And most people don't see that from the outside. So, for those of you who have a small business, if you are interested in starting a small business, especially in technology and manufacturing, which is what I do, you get to see a little bit of this stuff. You get to see the difference between what I dream of and what actually happens. And they're never really the same thing. Generally my dreams are this big, where reality ends up being this big. So I somehow have to squish this giant dream into a tiny little reality. We have limitations of time and money and skills, and I get excited about making something new, only to realize that in the middle of it, it's like, I don't really know how to do this. Well, then I have to detour and learn something completely new. I have to learn how to mold urethane or something like that I've never done before. That gets into chemistry, and that's not really my thing, but I have to learn how to do it. So I'm digging all over the place, trying to learn how to do something. When I first started in manufacturing, for example, I knew that I needed a milling machine. And if you don't know what a milling machine is, it's essentially a giant a machine. Generally they're pretty big. I guess they can be small, but it's a relatively large machine that takes a block of material, metal, plastic, whatever, and it slowly cuts away until you have a piece or a part. And this is a good example. These started off as solid bars of aluminum, and I used a milling machine to cut out all this stuff, and I have this useful part come out. Well, this is what I saw, and I knew that a milling machine was needed to make these things, so I bought a milling machine. This was back in 2006. The problem is that I didn't know how to use the milling machine. I didn't know anything at all about it. I didn't know how to get the tools in it. I didn't know anything about the technology, its limitations. I didn't know how much electricity it needed. So I got the thing and didn't know how to plug it in. And this was a pretty big step, because I think that the first milling machine that I got, between the machine and all of the tools, was about $80,000. And at the time, it was pretty much everything that I had. I had another business before this, and I sold some pieces and parts and bought this thing. And I just remember the thing arriving, and I was just staring at it like, okay, I know what somebody can do with this thing, but I don't know what I can do with it, or how to learn it anyway. That repeated 10,000 times is the joys of making a small manufacturing business. There's a learning curve around every single corner. I'm nearly up to my 11th year of being a small manufacturer. I've been through a lot of different buildings, through a lot of different machinery, a lot of employees. I've had as many as, I think, 13 or 14 employees. A partnership that didn't quite work out. All kinds of stuff. So what we have today is what I'm calling Factory400. Factory400 is not my business. Factory400 is a nickname that I gave my garage at my house that I built into a 400 square foot micro factory. And over the years, what I learned is I don't want to be a mechanical engineer because that's just one thing. I don't want to be a machinist because that's just one thing, or an electronic engineer, a software developer, any of those things. I've done all of those things individually, but really what I want to do here is from concept to completion within 400 square feet. It all comes out of my brain. It all gets made here. It gets tested here. And the proof, of course, is in the pudding. Do people buy it? Do people like it when they get it? Does it perform as expected? What happens when it breaks? Am I able to support it? All of those kinds of things. I don't want the customer to go through my learning curve. I want to give them a solid product that's ready to go, that is no excuses. And I also want to give our customers access to me so that if they have an issue, they have a suggestion, they have the ability to contact me directly, and we can make improvements. We can do all kinds of changes, whatever. So I'm not looking to sell a million of anything. I'm looking to sell small quantities of things, and that's pretty much how I've made my living for the past 10 years, is making little boutique pieces that maybe 500-600 potential customers. Of those I might sell to 100 people, and if I keep my costs low enough, that's it. And I'll go through an entire product cycle where I've only sell 500 or 600 of a design, and that might be spread across 100 different customers. So this is truly micro manufacturing, but it's everything any other manufacturer has to deal with, but on a small scale. And I have to deal with everything. I have to take the trash out. I have to design the parts. I have to take responsibility for everything, and it's pretty exciting. So really what this channel is, it's going to be the highs and lows of manufacturing. So today's project is getting ready for this new machine, but it's also, I have to contact some customers. I have a contract that I'm trying to put together. I have some repair parts that are distracting. I just got a couple of emails that I wasn't expecting, people asking questions. There's 2 or 3 people that were looking to buy some of our products, but I've taken the shop apart to prepare for the new equipment, so I'm not able to deliver those, and I'm trying to kind of keep that relationship positive, while at the same time I'm telling him, no, sorry, I can't deliver anything to you. Anyway, it's here are the highs and the lows, and if you have any suggestions, let me know. I think it'll be kind of fun to watch me triumph and not fall flat on my face on occasion. So anyway, to wrap this all up, I'm going to show you a little bit about some of the machine prep work. You get to see a little bit more of the shop and just how much of a mess it is. We are nearly ready for the new machine. I think we're down to, looks like, 4 more days. In theory, it's supposed to arrive, and that'll be its own little video and be kind of exciting. So anyway, enjoy watching what we've got so far. Okay, what a mess this is. Dog's not really helping. I had to move thousands and thousands of little pieces and parts just to get the piano that was back in the corner out, so that I can start the process of rearranging pretty much everything, and making room for the new piece of machinery. Now, as fiddly as all this stuff is, it's an excellent opportunity to kind of just regroup and refigure. A whole bunch of the stuff that you can see here, it just landed there when I initially got the room put together, and all I've been doing is paid work. Like I basically, the sun comes up, I'm soldering wires, I'm designing something, I'm doing whatever. I literally put 0 effort into cleaning, organizing, labeling, any of that kind of stuff. But we've got some good jobs. We have a little bit of anticipating taking a little bit of time and putting a little bit of money into organization and labeling and cleanliness and process control and all those kinds of things. Just taking a step up, but I have to do that at the right time. It's it's not practical for me to shut the whole operation down for 2 weeks and completely go through it and plan it and bring in contractors and all those kinds of things. All I really have the option to do at this moment is take little 30-minute, 20-minute stabs at improvements kind of here and there. We're getting there. I'm super happy that I'm able to clear everything out right now, kind of start all over. I've certainly learned a lot in the past few months and made a whole bunch of things, and we're going to do it better from here on out. The idea is to just make every day better than the previous day. Here is how I am just doing rough planning of where things will go. I essentially built these rough models of all of the pieces and parts that need to go into the space, and then I can kind of look around and figure out where things need to go, and kind of grab the things and rotate them and all that kind of stuff. This is the pedestrian door over here. This part right here is the big garage door. But even though these carts, the green parts, are all on wheels, this workbench is static and very heavy, very difficult to move. I almost have to take the whole thing apart to move it. This is my computer workbench, for example. That one just sits on the floor, a huge pain to move it. A pick-and-place machine has to have special stuff, wires and tubing and all that stuff going to it, so it's a bit of a hassle. Even though I have a pallet jack that can physically move it easily, I have to rewire it and all those kinds of things. So it's pretty critical to plan the course stuff for sure, but this really only makes a rough plan out of the whole situation. There's a whole bunch of things, obviously, that are not depicted in here. It's really nice to be able to say, what if I just got rid of that? Oh, look, I got the extra floor space, but then I have less storage space. Or what if this goes here or there or whatever? It's kind of nice to do those experiments with a mouse as opposed to my back. So that's kind of how I did the basic planning, and it's now time to start physically moving the real parts to kind of get this a little bit closer to reality. But first, we have the distraction of another project, which has no relation to anything else. Anyway, this is a three-phase converter. It converts the single phase that comes into the house into the three-phase power that we need for the new equipment that's on the arrival. And this is one of those projects that I don't have to do very often, but I have to learn a whole heck of a lot about how these things work, or else I won't be able to make the wise decisions. I mean, it seems logical that I would just call somebody and say, magically make electricity work. But the reality is that A, that'll either be far more expensive than I could possibly afford, or B, it would be I wouldn't get what I wanted. I wouldn't get what I needed. I wouldn't be installed right. So if you look, the phase converter off on the right over there, I had to build this kind of special mobile cart for the dumb thing. Now it's not exciting, it's not fancy or anything like that, but the point is that I didn't know where it needed to go. It's really heavy. It weighs about 115 pounds. So I needed to be able to roll it around. And this giant connector that I'm installing is because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to run the electricity. And all of these unknowns add up to a delay. I have to plan it. I have to install it. The install is expensive. And it's permanent. Very difficult to move things. Electrical installations once they're there, and you've spent a gazillion dollars on it. So I decided to put this on a cart, use a temporary connector. I'm able to move it around wherever it's needed, and once I kind of figure out the right way that I want everything to be arranged, then I can decide if I want to make it permanent or not. Another benefit of keeping it on in a mobile configuration like this is that it's considered temporary equipment. I don't need a permit for anything. So all I've really done permanently is I've added a giant plug directly on the panel itself. So there's just a short piece of wire and a breaker that goes to a plug. As soon as I unplug that thing, that's it. There's no no inspections, no nothing, and I can move this thing at any time to any location. This is a great example of me being forced into a learning curve on something that is well outside of what I need to be doing, but I have to have this for the project. And I'd say overall, figuring out all the pieces and parts and designing it myself and doing the vast majority of the work probably saved me about $10,000 worth of commercial electrical contractor to sort all this stuff out and make it work. And 99% chance that an electrical contractor is not going to set it up in this temporary way. That's not how they work. They're going to want to do rigid conduit and bolt it to something and abide by every law in the land to make it work, which is not even what I needed. So not only would I spend a ton of money, but I wouldn't even get what I wanted. I'd have something that's fixed in space and possibly in the wrong space. So that's what this is. That's what this is all about. I'm really happy that the way it's turning out. But I've probably got 3 or 4 days in it, and there you have it. But onward and upward. This is the cost of progress.